Early. Hi guys, we're here live with you. It's Monday at 1 o'clock. My name is Brandon, and look who's back with us today.
Hey everybody, yeah. Happy Monday. My name is Gabe, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, we hope you guys are staying safe and able to get out and about safely, and
I know, right? Because things with the pandemic really kind of picked up recently.
So you noticed last week, if you were able to join us, that I did the update all by myself because I was working from home. But we are back here today, and we're glad to be back here. And we're glad that you all are joining us, and we have a lot to talk about this week. But I really want to talk about what it means to make the right impression. That's today and tomorrow's article, Gabe.
Yeah, the right impression. I mean, you know, when you think of an impression, what do you think of? When I think of an impression, I think of like the first time you meet somebody. Yeah, and it's like the feeling that you give them.
Making a good first impression. But what do you think about in terms of a job interview? Now, when I hear that term, job interview, I kind of just
tense up?
Yeah, and clam up, tense up, and I don't know. I don't like them. I don't know if anybody really likes job interviews. If you like job interviews, raise your hand. We can't see you, but raise,
you can write something.
You can write something. What do you think about making that good first impression in a job interview? Like, do you think about that much? Does that concern you?
Well, I mean, frankly, it's been a long time since I've had to interview for a new job.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think that first impressions are really important, and I think that, you know, it's not just the things that you say that people are going to remember. Actually, probably more, they're going to remember maybe your nonverbal communication, the way that you were sitting or standing or talking to them or looking around the room or engaging, you know, with your eyes. All these little things, they make an impression, you know.
They do, and maybe you worry about some things more than other things. So we have a poll for you guys that we're going to put up right now, and we're just asking you, what is the most difficult thing about going to a job interview? We have a few options for you there. Maybe it's being personable, right? Are you engaging the person who's interviewing, engaging with them? Or maybe you're just concerned about what to talk about or the questions. There are lots of things to be concerned about, so click one of those answers. We also have an other option. If you click other, just type your answer in the comment section below.
Yeah, you know, I think that probably the most important thing for me for doing a job interview, for going to an interview, would be to make sure that I did my research.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, about the company, maybe even about the person who would be interviewing me. I know it's not always possible to know who that's going to be, but if it is possible, if you can find out a little bit about that person, I was just reading about that in a book called The Third Door, which I really enjoy reading, by the way. The Third Door, you can go check it out. But yeah, like just to know as much as you can before going into a situation. Yeah, because then you feel really comfortable. You could probably bring some things up that you remember, you know, throw them in the conversation. It'll make the other person feel like, oh, they kind of understand me. They understand this company. That's a great way to get started on the right.
So, Gabe, does this mean you should Facebook stalk people?
Hey, maybe. Well, maybe. Honestly, like,
but don't, you know, maybe you don't have to reveal that. But you can.
You're right. Don't tell them you went and searched their Facebook, like especially the photos. Maybe that's kind of weird. But maybe some of the posts, like people post things, you know, for the public to see. And so the fact that maybe you've seen some of those things and kind of know something about that person, you don't have to say where you got the information, but just knowing some things.
Have it on hand, or you can work it in the conversation somehow.
Yeah, because if it's public, if they posted it on Facebook, you know, who are they to say, oh, you're not supposed to look at my Facebook or go search? Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think it's not a bad idea.
Just don't be weird about it.
Yeah, don't be weird about it. Don't be super stalker-ish.
So do your research, and.
But you know what I'm like. So the research doesn't make me nervous. I think that's the most important part.
Okay.
But the part that would make me nervous about doing an interview are like the unexpected questions. Because some companies have really good and clever questions that kind of make you think, like, oh, you know, should I have prepared for that. You know, like what was a challenge that you encountered in your last company, and what was a creative way that you solved that problem? And if, you know, some companies might ask something like that, and if you're not prepared with experiences from your current work or from your previous work to talk about, then it could, you know, I think it would be beneficial to have those experiences on.
And I think, Gabe, that's where practice comes in.
Yeah.
Right? Practice before you go with a friend and go through those questions. You know, like kind of you're preparing right before that, like someone's preparing for a debate or anything like that. You want to kind of go through that and make sure you kind of know the answers to those questions. You know what's difficult for me? It's actually option number 1. No one else has clicked this. Maybe it's only me. I don't like really like promoting myself in that situation. It just feels awkward.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, I'm good at this or I'm good at that. But you don't say it like that. But it's like you kind of have to sell yourself in a sense, and I think that is a challenge for me. It just feels very unnatural and weird.
Because you're not the type of person that likes to really put yourself in the spotlight.
Well, yeah, it's just weird to feel like you have to do that in that situation.
Yeah, and yet it's true. I think there's a way to do it.
Yeah,
so that you don't sound cocky or arrogant.
Right.
In an interview, but the fact is, you know, they do want to know what your strengths are, and so there's a way to package that, you know, so you sound confident, and so you're presenting your strengths and not being arrogant or showy in any way.
All right, so we look at the poll, and some of you have taken it. Thank you. You can continue to take this if you're just joining us. But it says being personable. A lot of people are concerned about that. Like really engaging with that person. That not everybody can just do that. I mean, some of us can do that more naturally, but that can be really hard. You're already nervous, and so you're doing your research or thinking about answers to questions. Then on top of that, you actually have to be sort of likable as well, right? That's important.
Yeah, and you have to try to, you know, like I was talking about before, try to engage the other person and think about things that person might be interested in. You know, just knowing little things might you know, make or break the interview. Basically, it might make the difference. You know, between doing a good job in the interview and maybe doing a not so good of a job.
Because I think a lot of times, if that person interviewing you, if they just really like you as a person, that goes a long way. Maybe you don't have all of the knowledge, but they can train you for that. But if they feel that you're not going to work well on their team, that's could be a problem, of course.
That's true. Now, Brandon, you know, there are some people who interview really well.
Yes.
I don't know if you know, like people talk about like they really know how to present the best side of themselves in an interview. They know the interviews go really well, but once they actually get into the job, they realize they hate it, or they realize they're not a good fit, or something like that. And I think it's really important to not only do your research and be likable and, you know, personable during the interview, but also to. It's not just that company interviewing you. You're also there, like, interviewing the company. Yeah. And you got to make sure that you have well thought out questions about the company. You know, that let them know that you're also interested in making sure that you're a good fit for the company, but that you want them to be a good fit for you as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we have Alan writing into us saying, I think being polite can always leave people with a good first impression. That is very true. We can all hopefully at least do that, right, Alan? Good point. And then you also said, I can relate to that. I am not quick in thinking. I often need time to think over, you know, to give out a well thought out answer. And so, yeah, that's why it's important to research, but also practice beforehand.
Yeah, it's true. And, you know, politeness really does go a long way. That means it makes a big difference for a long time. And sometimes people try to be, I think it's good to remember to find a balance between being formal and casual in an interview. Yeah. Right? And I think if you're going to choose one or the other, maybe try to be formal, because sometimes if you're too casual, then and maybe joking around and things like that, it really depends on the situation. Yeah. But sometimes jokes don't always go over well, especially if you're not sure about the other person. And
that could be really tricky.
Yeah.
To joke around too much. You're kind of taking a risk. You might get it right, you might not. So better safe to kind of be formal, but also at the same time to be personable. All right. Well, we're almost out of time. Before we go, we do have a question of the week. You can think about this and come back later and write your response if you would like to. But we just want you to think positive about your current job. What is one thing that you like about your current job?
Well, the people for me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Brandon.
Yes, the people. I agree with you, Gabe. We have awesome coworkers, and that is always a huge blessing. But what about you guys? What is at least one thing you like about your current job? And, give thanks for that. That's good, right? So that we can be thankful for the good things. We may not love everything, but let's focus on the positive with this question at least. So let us know in the comment section below. Thanks, Gabe, for joining us. And don't forget, the May magazine is out. Look at that beautiful cover. You can go to your local bookstore and pick that up.
That's right.
We'll see you guys next week right here on Advanced Weekly Update. Actually, next week we will be here on Tuesday because it's a holiday. So don't forget that. We'll be here on Tuesday, not Monday. Thank you guys. Have a good week.